On the western shore of the Pacific Ocean, over 1.3 billion people inhabit a territory of 9.6 million square kilometers. Its coastline extends for more than 18,000 kilometers, and its vast sea surface is studded with more than 5,000 islands. It is one of the world's oldest civilizations, dating back over 5,000 years, and more people live there than any other place on the planet. China has become one of the fastest growing economies and is the world leader in exporting and importing of goods. As China's economy and exchanges with the world continue to grow, there has been a sharp increase in the world's demands to learn more about this fascinating country.
I love China because it's my fatherland. And I like its land, its people, its resources, its culture, its tradition, everything.
China is a fascinating country. I would say that the thing that amazed me most about China was the people.
If you visit China right now, you feel very, very welcomed. And so many people there, they know American, and they want to make friends with American.
What I treasure in China are intense conversations about a whole range of issues and very, very close friendships.
Many people can speak English, so you no panic for you to come to China. Just enjoy your stay in China and meet with people. They are very nice. They are very helpful. Everything will be fine.
No trip to China leaves one without a deep appreciation for the history. Everywhere you turn is evidence of a history that literally goes back many, many, many centuries.
I was still thinking about China the way it was decades ago, a very underdeveloped country. And I didn't go to a rural area, but I did go to Beijing and Shanghai. I was blown away by how large and modern and fast and sophisticated those cities are.
I think what I liked the most about being in China was the pace at which that society is changing right now. I don't know if we always get a sense of the watching China from the outside, observing it on the news here, but everything is changing so quickly.
There was construction everywhere you could look at. There was construction, you look to your left, to your right, and I'm not even if I try to exaggerate, I can't exaggerate how much construction and boom you could see. You could see cranes in every which way, building up.
Go to Shanghai. It's the most incredible city for architecture. It looks like it's in the year 2090.
Just astounded by the remarkable physical beauty of the city. There are 3 or 4 cities in the world that I can say I adore, and Shanghai has quickly become one of them.
I like Hong Kong better than the mainland, but a lot of that is because it's westernized, and again, having grown up here, westernized is what I'm used to.
Well, I grew up in China, and I like its food, I like its people, I like my friends, everything there.
Shanghai, to me, is New York City, Paris, Rome, combined, multiplied by 1,000.
In 2004, China began establishing nonprofit public institutions which aim to promote Chinese language and culture in foreign countries. The first Confucius Institute, named after the famous Chinese philosopher and educator Confucius, opened in Seoul, South Korea on November 21, 2004, and began to expand rapidly. By the end of 2013, there were over 400 Confucius Institutes worldwide, with nearly 100 located in the United States. Their purpose is to enhance the world's understanding of the Chinese language and culture, which for many Americans is very different from their own.
I would have to say that Chinese people are slightly more polite when first meeting them. I don't know about getting to know them, but some Americans can be kind of crass.
American people are pretty much open to the strangers. Actually, they love to talk to people.
I think they have more respect for their elders, so I think that's part of their culture. Like if you think about the Confucian influences that are sort of ingrained, it's expected of them to sort of be there for their parents and serve their parents.
Compared to Americans, Chinese appear more quiet or polite.
I think it's because of the Chinese culture. We are taught to be humble.
The first time they hug and kiss me really surprised me. As the women and men both, I was surprised and was shy.
My Chinese friends tend to be very quiet, very reserved. They only participate when they're supposed to, and they only give an opinion when they're asked to.
In China, we say, how to say that one, like, if you want to do something, you just zip your mouth and try to figure out how to do it. So we have one term in Chinese, say, silent water runs deep. But in American, I find out that you need to ask for help. The more you ask for help, the better you will come out the results. And there's another term that say, critical gear, get the oil.
I find that my Chinese friends and associates are more polite than my American ones, or certainly much more so than my Latin American friends and associates. It's a more delicate cultural conversation always, where some things are implied by the tone, by the position of the head, by the voice, as opposed to explicitly stated. But it's a lovely dance. It's like a cultural dance.
One of the things about growing up as a first-generation Chinese-American kid is you've got parents who are saying, you know, and this is, I think, typical. You have parents who are saying, you know, keep your head down, don't stick out, just go with the flow, don't make a spectacle of yourself.
I have a lot of friends in China. I've been there many times for lengthy periods of time. I go out with people all the time, but no one ever invites me to their home. Is that unusual, or is that not part of your culture?
Well, yeah. Nowadays, people usually entertain their friends in hotels or in restaurants instead of going to their homes. You know, it's kind of tradition or cultural, maybe.
It's very different from American culture, which is, I don't want to say selfish, but it's more based on individual needs, whereas in Chinese culture, it's all about the greater purpose of your being, you know?
I have actually made a lot of friends on Chinese trains, and this goes absolutely against the stereotype of the polite and reserved Chinese friends. People have warmed up very fast, and we would launch into an intense conversation that in some cases might last for 8 hours.
One of my favorite nieces in San Francisco recently married a young man of Chinese origin who's a doctor, and he's delightful, and I've gotten to know some of his family that remains on the mainland, and it's been a wonderful experience.
When I first got to the States, I lived with, host family, and when they saw me, they said, wow, Chinese are friendly. Before me, they have never really had a Chinese friend, and all they saw was from TV, wear boring clothes and not smiling or friendly. So Chinese are friendly.
Chinese people, just like American people, are friendly and easy to get along. So the biggest advice is just smile and say hi.
The United States and China are like the two most economically powerful countries on earth. They took such different paths to get there, and I think that's just so fascinating. Just to study the language and the culture and just learn more about it, I think is definitely a goal of mine.
The wide variety of ethnic groups and cultures which exist in New Orleans have made it unique among other cities in the United States. In the 1840s, a tiny enclave of Chinese resided in the city, and by the 1880s, Chinatown was developed.
What you're seeing here is a 1917 map of New Orleans Chinatown. Went through all sorts of records and pieced it together. So all of those yellow buildings were directly related to the Chinese population. They might have been notion shops, grocery stores, religious institutions, and by coincidence, this is the location of the present-day Tulane downtown medical campus.
This is a big Chinese cemetery. The Chinese characters here means the time when this cemetery was built. Originally, it was built on July 19, 1904. This was old, and now it was rebuilt in 1949. This is a big cemetery.
In In 2009, a proposal to create a Confucius Institute at Tulane was submitted due to the increasing demand for Chinese language education from students. 3 years later, the Confucius Institute at Tulane was officially established. The mission of the institute was very clear from the beginning.
We are honored and excited to have the Confucius Institute on campus. It took several years of very hard work by our colleagues in China at East China Normal University, at the Chinese Consulate in Houston, and of course our leadership here in the School of Liberal Arts at Tulane to forge this agreement. And I salute all of those colleagues in that effort, and I know that we are now meeting this growing demand and interest among our students to learn Chinese language and learn about Chinese culture and history. And that is a marvelous asset, not simply because it equips our students for this new world in which they will live, a global world where they will interact with many people from China. It's also going to help stimulate growth and development here in New Orleans and in southeastern Louisiana with the influx of Chinese citizens and Chinese Americans and with the general internationalization of the entire Gulf Coast.
I want to know why over 5,000 years of culture, why it's still so practiced and it hasn't evolved that much.
That's amazing. That's what Ashley just said. The Confucius theory is rooted in every aspect of the Chinese society. It's like a Bible to Chinese people. It has been there and it's going to be there.
What we hope to achieve with the Confucius Institute is to be able to teach more classes in Chinese, both to our own students and to the community, and to deepen our ties with our partner institution, East China Normal University, so that our students can be hosted there.
Okay, I like China. 我喜欢中国. I definitely want to learn more vocabulary and broaden my understanding of the language, because it is kind of like how we bridge like the gap between the cultures. We have to be able to communicate with each other, because we do as Americans, we do a lot of business with China. I mean, everything's made in China now, and I feel like it'd be great if more people were able to communicate.
I feel like just in 2 semesters, we've already learned hundreds of new words. It's blown me away. Coming in with the expectation that Chinese would be so difficult, but I'm picking it up so quickly.
I really love the idea that we can have a Confucius Institute here in New Orleans, because it's a good place to let Americans know how the real China looks like. So I'm very happy to work here, because I can help people to understand why we are here and why Chinese people want reach out to the world.
Americans want to know about China. I think the Chinese government wants other people to know about China also. And so I was really thrilled because of my activities in China to learn that the Chinese government had agreed to fund a Confucius Institute right here at Tulane University, which will be great for Tulane and great for our students, and hopefully will be the way we can increase our relationships with China, because the reality is China is the biggest market in the world for everything, including education.
I want to know, why is New Orleans so good at jazz music?
Well, I guess I would say this is because in New Orleans, people come from so many different places, bringing in different cultural beliefs and types of styles and stuff, and so generally new music types are born, and then that's how you get common music here, like jazz and other types.
Teaching at Tulane and teaching college kids Chinese language, I enjoy teaching, I enjoy interacting with students, and each year we actually see more and more students registering for Chinese class, and then more and more students. When they finish the beginning level, they move to intermediate and then even advanced, and a lot of them will eventually go to China for a study abroad program, and they come home, they speak fluently, and then they help with other students like our co-educator Michelle here. So it's been a great experience.
The Confucius Institute is something that can benefit not just Tulane students, but anybody in New Orleans. Anybody who is interested in Chinese culture, and I think of Chinese culture very broadly, it's Chinese language, Chinese calligraphy, Chinese dance, Chinese food, can come to the Confucius Institute and learn more about China. Community members are invited to come to our programs, and for them, this can be a wonderfully enriching experience.
What I heard tonight was absolutely magnificent and thoroughly professional, and it's a revelation to my American eyes and ears to see the artistry of these people. Just magnificent.
Who that can beat saints? In Chinese, 谁敢打败圣徒球队？谁敢说他敢打败圣徒球队？
Only say 3 words. I can say ni hao, that's hi, and I can say, I don't know if this is 1 word or 2 words, xie xie, that means thanks.
It's okay. Yeah.
Tell you there is some truth in stereotype. You know, growing up, I played the piano, I played the violin, we owned a lot of cameras.
The future of the Confucius Institute is bright, with plans to establish 500 institutes and 1,000 classrooms by 2015 in order to further educate the world about Chinese language and culture. Tulane University will play a key role locally in the growth of the Confucius Institute by upgrading the Chinese courses under the Asian Studies program and reaching out to the community by offering classes and holding regular cultural exhibitions and events. The Confucius Institute at Tulane is bridging the gap between the East and the West.